just continue to do the work, brother. Appreciate everything that you're doing, and peace. Islam.
Peace. All right, Najwell Day, Mufti from Canaanland Moors. When I'm on YouTube, Sinetta TV. Always and always. Islam.
Islam, peace and love, Sutton Rabbe. Visiting my people in Canaanland. Yeah. So we know Sinetta gonna get it up ASAP. As my brother always getting out the information. Peace and love.
Islam, my brother. 2 words, Sinetta TV. Check it out on YouTube. Peace.
Seem like everybody watch the House of Consciousness. Got them tuning in here in the States to every continent. You got your holy book, your references and documents. Then hit your brother's sign, get it cracking if you're confident. Sinetta TV, it don't get no more reality. It's helping us stay mindful of the struggle in totality. Humble yourself and let the commentary resonate. Living in these times, this here is sure to help you elevate. In a new zone. Hope the dialogue ain't too strong. Y'all know that we've been waiting too long. And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, it's the time all I got is building on the TV is a black throne, where kings and queens come get their facts on. Just be prepared to have your mind blown. And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, it's the time all I got is freedom on my mind, for real.
You know, if you say something and you don't mean it, you're not gonna just keep the stuff up there for millions of people to go see or whatever. You know, you change the tone, right? So Noble Drew Ali was a man that was way before his time. This is Ali Muhammad. Noble Drew Ali was a man that was way before his time. Could you imagine someone in 1928 during the Chicago riots wearing a blazing red fez talking about history that was 50,000 years old? This is the same guy that I was supposed to debate today. We are still trying to pierce what he was teaching. We're still trying to pierce what he was teaching. So that means we ain't get it yet. Right? He knows that. He knows that we ain't get it yet. Right?
Well, it's just like the statement. It's going to take you 50 years before you know what I brought you.
What I brought you.
50 more years before you know I was even here. That's it right there.
We are still trying to pierce what he was teaching. And of course, bringing back the Moorish identity is raising of Hiram. So in my estimation, as far as the identity factor, there's never been someone to crack the code or the 7 seals like he did. And until we approach what he was teaching in that Circle 7 with an open eye, we will never be able to reclaim anything that deals with ownership of our rights. That's Ali Muhammad.
I guess that's when he had they on his name.
Right? Oh, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Because he wasn't baying this. He was, ISIS Society founder, Dr. Ali Muhammad. Right? But it's kind of funny that there's this website called www.wetheaboriginalpeople.com. It may be about a little while ago.
You wrote that?
Oh, actually no. Well, let me put you onto something before you write down that website. When you punch it in, nothing's not gonna come up.
Oh shit!
Right? Just so you know that people are doing stuff, right? Affidavit of private citizenship and indigenous ministerial status. Appellation: Minister Abdul Ali Muhammad Bey. This is the guy who's debating Moors. Talking about Noble Drew Ali's this and Noble Drew Ali's that. And he has paperwork that says that he's a Bey. Not only that, institutions: Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine and National Movement, Nation of Islam, International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns.
That's his own paperwork.
Huh?
That's some paperwork he created.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Bey on there.
Right. That's why Bey's in brackets, not hyphenated, like it's supposed to be. Like Noble Drew Ali said how to do it.
So it's mentioned, but
It's a mention, you know, honorable mention, just so that, you know,
if anything,
he can get the authority and do whatever it is that you have to do under the guise of obey. But, you know,
that is clever.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Clever.
oh yeah.
Hey, he's intelligent.
Ali Muhammad is sharp.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent. Very. Right? Very intelligent. Which direction he's going with the intelligence?
That's it.
Right?
That's the question.
I don't know. But I know that he got nationality paperwork. Which means that he's using the authority of the Moorish Science Temple. Right? I'm going to put it on the record just so that I, Chief Minister Abdul Muhammad, yeah, where the bay at? Right? And then why is, you know, Chief Minister taking up this much of the line, and then you have to squeeze your name into the rest of it? Unless what you're really about is being some chief minister or of something, because the name doesn't mean anything. It's all about titles.
When they was having nice meets, that's what they called him, chief.
Chief. Yeah, but chief comes from sheik. So why you just call him sheik? Oh, because then that'll show that he's connected to the... I get it. You can't just go around calling yourself sheik. Right? Oh yeah, and then no bay on the signature. Well, he got the little 33 with the circle on there. Now, if I say 33, what's the first thing comes to your mind?
Base.
Oh wow.
So if we ask the question, if Ali Muhammad, founder of International Indigenous Society, uses the powers of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish Divine and National Movement, as in this paperwork right here, and he recognizes Noble Drew Ali, what we debating about?
That's the question.
About shit.
What we debating about? What's all these debates about then? Because, you know, I heard he's supposed to, or he debated polite or whatever like that. They used to go classes together. They used to go to classes together. Matter of fact, Polite used to go to Ali Muhammad classes.
That was just about to mention that. Like,
So what are you debating about? You gonna debate the guy that taught you? About what? You gonna debate Kudjo about some legitimacy of Moorish Science Temple of America when you got paperwork that says you honor Divine and National Movement and all that? And people are really gonna take this thing serious? When the point of the matter is that in order for anybody in the Americas that looks like Negro, black, colored, or whatever, they have to show honors to Noble Drew Ali, or your stuff's not getting recognized.
it's 80 pages, authority is at the back.
Right? You're gonna go get a book called Benjamin Banneker. Oh yeah, by Ali Muhammad. That he's gonna tell you, oh yeah, we don't, you know, that didn't make it to the printer. Or that didn't get published. Yeah, because I sent people to ask him. And they came back and said, no, you said you don't got the book no more. Alright, for all those people who say you don't got the book, let me show you what you got in the book. Right? Benjamin Banneker, a true founding father. Alright? Page 25. Notice the sash of Noble Drew Ali with the pouch at the end. This same sash with a pouch at the end is worn by a native warrior to the left. The Moors were known for wearing this style of clothing, and it's connected to Orion and Sirius. So he knows all that. And then he's going to come and talk about, you know, oh yeah, well, he has hand on the chest, so he's a Mason, and you know, he wore this, he's a Mason, and trying to disconnect the people from the Prophet, who he said in his book is wearing the pouch just like the native warrior wore, who was indigenous.
Okay. So, how long have the Moors been on the Americas for? And where did the Moors come from?
You read your 101 questionnaire?
No.
101 questionnaire says that the flag is 10,000 years old.
50,000.
Some 102s say 50,000 years old. Which comes first, flags or people?
People.
So if people come before flags, and this flag is 50,000 years old in this land, how long do you think the people been here before they said, hey, we should make a flag?
So how did the people come over here? How did they get over here?
Just like how they get everywhere else, traveling.
I think, understandably, what it was said, I was reading some stuff that basically was one landmass to begin with.
Right.
We were all over here, all over that.
And everybody
then when
knows.
it broke down, the whole landmass separated.
And everybody...
And I think there's also the connection with the fact that he asked the pharaohs of Egypt to,
Right.
come to this land.
Right,
But they would have us believe that that timeline is different than what it is.
right.
That timeline would then have to put us back 50,000 years.
50,000. More than that, maybe.
Versus whatever.
Right.
So does that supersede Native Indians coming to the land?
Well, Native Indians
But
are both a
li-
misnomer too, right? Because Native Indians would
Ain't nothing called Native Indians. So, I don't know who you're talking about. Who's Native Indians? What's that?
You know, the people that are on the island that got the treaty with the Europeans.
Well,
You- this ain't-
Man, the Redskin.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the study I was doing with that too, was they were saying that what they did is they picked certain people that they were the combination between the European and us, and they picked those people to, what I realized,
Be the ones.
to be the ones to put the fraud in. That's what I realized. It's all been about a cover.
Right.
It's all been about putting a jacket on to make it seem like these were the people that they made the deal with.
Right.
Then disconnect us
Then
from that.
disconnect the actual
So
people
what
that...
they were saying, then they made treaty with a people that they made treaty with the tenant.
Right.
That's what they did.
Instead of making it with the...
So that would be the actual bridge or the cover-up, basically.
Yeah, because
Okay.
because the conspiracy, the real conspiracy isn't Freemasons and government takeover and whatever. The real conspiracy is, how did these people become Negro, black, colored people when they're Moors? And everybody knows that we're Moors. And everybody knows that, you know, Pharaoh Khufu wore a fez. He's from Kemet. He had a fez though. Akhenaten had a fez. They got stone fezzes on Kemetic pharaohs that people recognize as, you know, they're connected to them, but they're not connected to Mars. How come you're not talking about the pharaohs got their stuff from the Turks?
Okay, well the 14th Amendment too gives us rights too as well.
Can't. But we'll get there. You had a statement?
Yeah. When people talk about the Native American, and the Native American being a so-called Indian, we was talking earlier about the use of dictionaries. So you want to go back to the 1828 Noah Webster's dictionary, and when you open it up, it's got a picture of Noah Webster and an American. In and out, any of the copper-colored individuals found on the continent when the European arrived.
Right.
To me, that don't sound like no red man.
Right.
My skin is copper colored, his skin is copper colored, his skin is copper colored, everybody in the room. So when you talk about the Native American, don't use the dictionary that you got today that's been watered down. Go back then.
Right.
When you're reading those documents from back then, use them dictionaries from back then to get the word in its proper context.
Right.
When they say American, it say the copper colored individuals found on the continent when they arrived. So don't let them, if they telling you who was here when they arrived, don't let them tell you that you wasn't here when they wrote it.
Right.
Well, two things to it. One of them too is you don't let the occupier describe describe the history.
Right.
As well as I think in another one of those videos it talks about Indian came from the fact that some of the explorers found these people off the coast of so-called India who looked like us.
Right.
So when they came here, they saw the same people here wearing the same fezzes, and then they connected those two things together. That has then morphed into them being able to then disconnect us from that by making us Indians, which was connected with the BIA Act,
Right.
which was to then connect us with their corporate stuff.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
where did the native Indian come from?
Well, there's no such thing as native
There's no
Indian.
such thing as a native.
It's not even any. That's like saying where black people come
That's
from.
right. That's exactly the same thing. But what they've done is they actually found a set of people. I was reading the 107 Strange Facts, whatever, which explains that what they did is they went around and they found particular people who looked in particular ways, and those were the people they got to sign the actual documents. Those were the people that they went to.
Right.
So they then just did a whole classification thing and said, these are the people that we're going to identify as this. These are the people that are going to sign the thing. These are the pictures that we're going to make, and what happened was they just rewrote history.
Right.
That's what
They're still rewriting it, because if you go to what they call powwows today,
Right.
the people there, they're not written no more. They're
Right.
pale as snow.
Not for real.
Now, how did that happen in
Yeah.
200 years? How did they go from being red to pale?
To
as snow?
pale. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to see who it is that you're killing.
Right. Since
Just to interrupt you, one thing I realized, I think it's a sad thing, but they're holding on. That's all they've been trying to do, right? It's from the very beginning, the
Yeah.
European has been holding on.
by a fingernail.
By a fingernail, they've had to continue, I think Raj said it best, they have their arms everywhere, and they're
Yeah.
trying to hold on to everything, yet balance everything, right? Because they've got to use our science and our knowledge, and then apply themselves to that.
Right. And hide the fact that they're using our stuff,
That's right.
not some stuff that they got from,
That's right.
you know,
That's right.
Hippocrates and whoever else that
And
they
then,
say
and
taught
then the
them.
problem is if you continue to step back to all that stuff keeps coming back to us.
Right.
So that's the problem. Everything has to be stilted.
Yeah.
You have to look at it in a pocket and then leave it alone.
Right.
Because once you
start looking at the whole thing,
it all connects
see how
back.
connected everything is. Right. Which brings us right to this. So you mentioned the 14th Amendment, right? Since 1868, the Moors using the European political appellations black, Negro, and colored have been deceived into believing that they are citizens of the United States by virtue of the 14th Amendment. Noble Drew Ali stated that the 14th Amendment is not necessary to bring the Moors back to the constitutional fold of government. It's not necessary, right? And then if you go to Divine Warning to the Nations by the Prophet, it tells you that. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared to be free, national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So if that's the case, how come so-called Ali Muhammad, Aboriginal nation of society, whatever, right, has on this nationality card that he's given to people when they join his thing, that this card is authorized by the following law: United States Constitution, 14th Amendment. So the card itself that he's given to people, right, is saying that it's authorized by the 14th Amendment. When Noble Drew Ali said the 14th Amendment is not necessary for the redemption of the people. So why are they trying to redeem the people using the 14th Amendment?
Because in history, the 14th Amendment basically freed.
14th Amendment didn't free nobody.
Okay.
Because there's still Negro, black, colored today. And they ain't free. So forget 14th Amendment. Right? Again, International Indigenous Society. And then everybody, yo, where do you get a nationality card from, ISIS or whatever? Because people are fed up with this crap. Everybody knows that Noble Drew Ali is the foundation. That's why I read the letter from the brother who got locked up for 30 days, and in 6 days they kicked him out of prison. Because he was standing up on what Noble Drew Ali taught him. And he said that, I used to be down with ISIS, but I ain't down with them no more. How come? Because he started finding out this type of stuff. And many people jump ship from all these different organizations claiming to have some sovereign power that they don't got. Why? Because if you don't recognize the nation, your sovereignty is dead. And you can't make up a nation that's older than 1913. What organization, what nation you know in the Americas that's been exercising nationality longer than Noble Drew Ali and what the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish movement and all that? I'm not talking about individuals, sundry free Moors and all that stuff, like people try to, well, you know, there's always been Moors here, because, and then they run to that to try to discredit what Noble Drew Ali did. Or they go to Washington, oh, well, Washington did this or whatever. What do you mean? Washington sold out to the French. She married a French guy. Doesn't that mean you gave up your birthright?
You know what people gotta understand, and I want to emphasize it. If they say the flag was here for 10 or 50,000 years, then that means Moors were here, right? But out of all the great men, or so-called great men from our history and our culture, nobody else raised that flag. Nobody else came back to say, listen, I want to put you back into the constitutional vote of government. I want to give you back your nationality. I want to teach you about your birthright.
It was Noble Drew Ali who went back to the president and got the flag out of the vault.
Right.
Right?
So
that was the whole point.
The point that I'm making is everybody got an issue with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But as I stated before, the last time I was here, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a man, just like me and just like him. You can try to find him falling short if you please, but the point is this: nobody else brought you back what he brought. Now you can go ahead and say, I wouldn't care if you told me he had 99 different children by 103 women. I wouldn't care. My cousin actually said that to me. Well, they proved that Prophet Noble Drew Ali did this. So what? Nobody else told me. Nobody else laid a foundation. Nobody else brought us back. Nobody. So you can say, I'm not discrediting Marcus Garvey. He did great things. I'm not discrediting Malcolm X. He did great things. But this one thing turns everything else around.
Was the awakening.
Everything.
Wow.
Everything.
I also realized too, a big part of this, it's all about that sort of the two triangles. There's the lower and the higher self. His higher self was in a place that none of us have been at. His lower self may have done, or may have been involved in certain things that we can sort of question.
Yeah, but who has?
But that's what I'm saying. So ultimately, that's what this is all about. And even in the Holy Quran, talking about the higher and the lower self, this all talks about the fact that it's about knowing your higher and your lower self, right, and the lower self, and what it is, and how it attains to lewdness and all that kind of stuff, right, and the higher self and the virtue. So to me, none of that is surprising. Exactly. Like you're saying, it's on the merits of what he's brought on that higher level.
Right.
To me.
Exactly. Right. So, you know, so they set up their little game, right? They got little numbers on there, and then they call themselves sovereign, and they say that they're, you know, indigenous and all these things, right? And they put this perspective out there like, you know, they're not doing what Noble Drew Ali brought, when they're doing exactly what Noble Drew Ali brought. They're just doing it under a name that's not Moorish Science Temple, and that isn't affiliated with Moorish Science Temple, nor chartered. They're just some people that went, registered with whoever, right? Found out the best way to register in order to get some tax breaks from the IRS, right? And start an organization, and then fleece people into thinking that, yeah, come join this because this is the real. No different than, you know how they like to talk about, you know, Moors are religious because of prophets or whatever like that. These guys are doing the same fleecing that all these pastors are doing.
So that's pretty much like the freemen on the land.
Yeah. So somewhat, yeah. So that's the demonstration, right? That's the demonstration that you are sovereign or whatever like that, and you know what I mean, without national ties. That sovereignty just fell out the sky on you, and now you got it, and then you have the right to sell it, trade it, whatever. When that ain't sovereignty, look it up. But you know, people don't look up stuff, right? So they're gonna say that they're UNPF members and all this type of stuff, and you know, dumb people, they're like, oh wow, UN, oh, their stuff must be legit. Well, United Nations Permanent Forum of Indigenous Issues is an advisory body that's just a forum.
That's
Just a forum.
that's the part that they don't get.
It's just a meeting that you go to and then talk about some stuff and then you leave the meeting. They don't give nobody no authority to do nothing. But people are gonna buy this because there's been so much dirt thrown on the Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement that, you know, they figure we don't have anything else. When the Moorish Science Temple of America isn't tainted, right? Moorish Science Temple of America is, you know, depending on who you go to, yeah, it might be something religious. It might be something that doesn't deal with nationality and birthrights and all that. But if you study Noble Drew Ali, you would know who all these fakers are. Like they're saying, you know, authorized by U.S. Department of State. Authorized by U.S. Department of State? That's who authorizing this nationality card?
And you know what's funny? To see authorized by U.S. Department of State, which we already know is colorful,
right?
Because it says Department of. So you got one jurisdiction when you talk about the U.S. Department of State, the colorful jurisdiction.
Right.
But then you got the Great Seal,
right,
which is the original jurisdiction. And you got the flag right next to it. That's two different jurisdictions.
Right.
That's contradictory.
Right. Right. The United States does not have any employees because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganizations. After over 200 years of operating under bankruptcy, it's finally over. Executive Order 12803. Go research that. Right? Do not personate one of the creditors or shareholders or you will go to prison. United States Codes, Title 18, Section 914. Telling people, right? Telling people that there's no such thing as the United States. And for whatever reason, people buy this up, right? And we ain't near done. Because now they got some new cards.
Go back, gotta see that.
Now they got some new cards, right? They're putting everybody on blast right now. Everybody who ever made a card, right? Trying to say that they're sovereign or whatever like that, right? It doesn't go like that. Either you're down with Noble Drew Ali and you get down with that first and then go do whatever, like how the Europeans did, like how all these other people did, be a member and then go do something under your own name or whatever. Don't know that there's a Noble Drew Ali, know that there's a Moorish movement, but not be a member of that, but then still go out, make up your own fake paperwork saying that, yeah, Noble Drew Ali authorized this and Moorish Divine National Movement authorized this and, you know, the Moors of the Great Seal and all authorized this. When you're not even a member of that, that's impersonation.
And on top of that, diss it.
Right, and on top of that, diss it. When you're a part of it. So now on the new stuff now, they got Aboriginal Cherokee Choctaw Incorporated. And people are going to eat all this up. People are going to eat all this up.
But not holler at the MSTA.
But not holler at the MSTA, which is incorporated. So what's the problem? Right? You're gonna go, and this is why, for all these clowns that want to talk about, Kudjo says that, you know, he has nothing to do with tribes and all that stuff. Yeah, because tribes are incorporations. Tribes are not de jure.
See, that's the thing with studying too. When you go look up what a tribe is,
That's all they gotta do. Look it up.
Just look it up.
Just look it up.
In terms of where the tribe word came from, it's in regards to inbreeding. In terms of what a tribe is.
Right.
So, understand it. You would more accept clan than accept
tribe. Right? Which is logical.
So
if you look up tribe,
just Just look it up. God, just look it up.
Right? All these people getting game. Right? Joining up to stuff, getting their property stolen, doing jail time, all this type of stuff. You're going through all that for some freedom. And you paid $1,500. So you got jail time and you paid $1,500. Obviously that stuff don't work and you should go back for a refund. Right? If you could find them people, right? United States of America, Department of State, to whom these presents shall come, greetings, whatever, apostille from the Department of State. But remember, James Traficant bankruptcy speech, right? James Traficant told y'all, prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial title to property, free and clear, whatever, right? The U.S. citizen was registered as a beneficiary of the trust via his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects. The 14th Amendment, U.S. citizens. So all you people who go buy packages from somebody, right, and then lose your property, or lose fiat, or lose whatever it is that you lost, the reason that you lost it because you're 14th Amendment citizen. And they didn't give you any sovereignty. They raped you. Right?
Let me ask you a question, brother.
Yeah.
I live in Syracuse, which is like right on the fringe of the Onondaga Nation reservation. I don't know if any of you all heard, but the Onondagas are going through some things with the Caucasoid now over land that he supposedly had sovereign land.
Right.
They got some, but I guess apparently they were supposed to get more than what they got, and they've been going back and forth to court on that, and it hasn't worked. So now they're taking him to, what is it, the world or the international?
World court? International court.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you expound a little something on that?
Well,
I mean, because they sovereign.
Yeah. Well, the issue is that you can't be sovereign without a nation, and Onondaga isn't a nation.
They
That's
call
a tribe.
themselves the Onondaga Nation, though.
Yeah.
When you go out there, because they only like 5 miles from my house.
Yeah.
Okay, when you go out there, it says Onondaga Nation.
Yeah. Right. Just like the mail people say Federal Express, but they don't got nothing to do with government. They're called federal though, but nobody even connects them to government. But they're called federal, just like federal government. But nobody says, oh yeah, Federal Express, the government, let me go pay some taxes to those people.
Back to what you were saying here, you're right, it's like they mix.
Right.
Some of them look like, they kind of look like me, they
right.
They don't look, and they don't hold strong. I go out there like the elders, you see them holding strong to the culture, but their young offspring today, they don't care.
And that's no different than elders. You got a belt on and your pants up here. Okay. You got other people, they got a belt on and their pants down here. You got a belt on.
Tight too.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think
what's up?
That's been the
Stop that, man.
That's been the other part of it, which I think the other part of it has been the way that they've used the language and the words to mean other things. Ultimately, it's like the dictionary. When you look up certain things, that same word now doesn't mean the same word it meant 20, 30 years ago. So nation, in the same way, right? You can call yourself whatever. You put yourself there, and you can act like that, but ultimately you're not going to get those rights because you're not fulfilling the rest of the requirements that it takes to be that.
Okay, so here's the next question. Is the Moorish nation recognized by the U.S. government or the Canadian government?
Okay. Can I touch on that, Kudjo?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
The U.S. government is recognized by the Moorish nation. Let's say it the right way.
Okay.
It's because we get the Treaty of Peace and Friendship gave them the authority to operate, to do business on this land. But to also push on that topic about the Onondaga Nation. When people talk about reparations is basically finance that's paid to a defeated nation, right? Now, if you agree if you agree, say like you're the corporation, say like I'm the Onondaga Nation, and you're the corporate United States, and you say to me, listen, I'll give you 100 million acres of land if you agree to be part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Okay. So I got to do contract. I got to do business with you in order for you to give me this land. Now, if you were actually recognizing my nation as the Onondaga Nation, then you would give me back all of my land.
Right.
You wouldn't be allowed to say, here, take this. Now, if I give it to you, naturally I can take it back.
Yeah, because that's the agreement.
I gave it to you, and this is the agreement. It's a contract.
Exactly.
So this is why they're fighting.
But isn't that a treaty that the Caucasoid originally signed with them, and now they breaking the treaty?
No, but check it. No, let me add to that. You have that jacket on right now, right?
Okay.
You put it on the chair there.
Okay.
I take it up.
Okay.
I said, listen, if you go buy me a pop, I could give you back this jacket. Remember, it's your jacket.
In the first place.
Right. In the first place.
And then you're going to go buy a pop.
So you're going to go buy a pop for the jacket. When you come back, I just sold the jacket. I still get my pop, but you don't get your jacket back. Just think about it. It's your jacket.
It's contract.
Why are you negotiating with your jacket?
But here's the second part that I think about this, right? Because everything is contract. But what you realize too is the so-called U.S. is pretending to be government. They're not government. They're a corporation, right? So already that's another layer to it. You're dealing with guys who are saying that I'm the minister of the, or I'm the state of this. Right. That's a corporation that has set itself up to pretend to be a government. So and then, but then you have decided to do contract with them, which all of a sudden puts them into law. And that's where the whole color of law stuff comes into this, right? Right? Because they ain't government. The government's been dissolved. That's a corporation. But you have given them the power of the government.
So why haven't the people heard about the Moorish nation then? Why haven't we heard about it?
They hear about it.
But the whole deal has been, and this is what we've been getting at, is that the sellouts, media, there's like a whole list of things. That's what I've realized. The whole stuff is layered. It's all layered. It's like, okay, first of all, we've got your children from school, so we ain't even giving you the right education to begin with. So that takes out half of them. The other third, the other third are bought off. The other half are killed. The other half are put in jail, right? So then you're left with 1, 2, 3 guys, right? Then you've got to have true soldiers who are willing, Taj, Nature, these guys, Kudjo, Setenra. So then, but what I'm saying is that stuff is layered. It's so layered, that's the problem. You will have heard of it too in certain ways. But what you realize too is because everything's spiritual, they're also giving you all of that stuff in movies and all this stuff. But if you don't see it for clearly what it is, then, so ultimately they have given it to you. But the issue is that with the frauds. Exactly. So you have to. That's where all of this is. It's about changing the literature. That's why I'm finally coming clear out of this. After finally doing a lot of this stuff, I can see it clearly. But I'm still then going out and using their fiat.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what's wrong with your 9 to 5? What's wrong with having an Ontario driver's license or a health card? What does claiming your nationality do for you, really?
Yeah, but nobody's not saying. Like people think corporations are wrong, licenses are wrong, passports are wrong. Oh, well, the way Moors talk, they don't want one. So what? It's not about not having one. It's about knowing what you got. It's about knowing where that came from.
Oh, but I'll say the other big problem for me is before I got into this movement, I realized when I would walk down the street and someone would call me a nigger or something like that came with a lot of other stuff. Right? So I built my way out of going, why are these Europeans who seem to be in power? And then I look at my economic status. I look at the fact that, I'm being profiled. All of this stuff, that's why that stuff. But hey, I got no problems doing things as long as the playing field is level. But the playing field isn't level. And I'm being taxed, I'm being raped, I'm being all this stuff on a disproportionate level because it's my land, but we've got to keep you away from that. But wait a minute.
Europeans are being taxed too.
Yes, but not to the same level. And not only that, they're not being profiled to the same level. Not only that, you go look at, let's say, the founding people who are running the government. 99% of them happen to be European. How come that doesn't represent the population?
Okay.
How come business doesn't represent the population? Okay. What you realize is where the money is, that's where the European is. Where the hard work is, that's where the Moor happens to be.
Okay,
So to me, that's my problem.
Europeans are being taxed or profiled like us too, but we can say too that some of the stereotypes are true. When you go down the street, really it is a black kid shooting up the street, doing a lot of shit too. I know a lot of Europeans do it too, but most.
Not in all those states in the south and whatnot, you're seeing all on television and whatnot, it's always a white kid. If you look at the news, even if you look at CP24, you'll see that they always will protect their own. If it's a European or a white guy or whatever they want to call themselves, you'll notice if it's a heinous crime, rape, gang rape, or rape of a minor, or they'll tell you the name, or they might tell you the name, they might withhold the name, but they won't show you the picture. If it's a black dude, it's immediately up, even if he's not even convicted as yet. As a suspect, his face is immediately up. So like, I've been looking at that for about the last like few years now. Like I don't know exactly the amount of time, maybe about 2 or 3 years, and I've been looking at it. I went as far as creating a page on one of these social networks, just saying, okay, you know what? I'm gonna throw up all of your shit every single one when I see it, because I'm seeing me every single, like, pedophilia was never a black thing. Like shooting up the place was never a black thing. Matter of fact, tattoos and piercings and all that were never, that was punk rocker stuff. You know what I mean? And so they switched around the whole vibe and put us into that stigma now. But the problem is that in 25, when we hit 25 years old, our parents don't run nothing. They can have spiked hair, holes all up in their face or whatever. Their parents are running the banks, they're running everything. So there's a position for them fixed already. Okay, the taxes are benefiting them already, but we don't have that established for ourselves.
Send the question for after. We got about 40 more slides or something.
Right. Then the question that he had asked in regards to are they recognized as, that's why I gave you that.
Yeah. Right? So what you're gonna do is, as far as, are we recognized, does the recognize the Moorish nation or whatever like that, right? Just go research Resolution 75. Right? Let's do research on Resolution 75, see what comes up. And then tell me if they don't recognize.
Quickly in one sentence, what
right?
resolutions are they?
You wanna hit that?
What they talk about taking your name? It's simple. They talk about taking your name. Il, Bay, Day, Ali, nah. It's simple. Go to RB Bay. It's on RB Bay Publications, the actual document. And if you can't find it, I got it, I'll send it to you.
Lorraine Graves, Pittsburgh, PA, whatever, somebody, asked this question. I thought it was strange that the Nation of Islam is using Dianetics. How has it benefited your followers? Do you think the black community would be open to it? Right? Ms. Farrakhan's reply. I found something that I felt would be helpful. Farrakhan responded after hearing Graves' questions. A lot of Muslims that are in the mosque, male and female, we function well. But there are impediments because of things that happened in our lives when we were young, right? Mr. Farrakhan. Why did the Nation of Islam adopt Scientology, right? Why are they backing this Scientology ideal so hard, right? Why are they pretty much telling the world that, this is where we're going with this thing or whatever? And everybody in there better be down with it. Because Nation of Islam doesn't play, like Moors, we play the one where, people could come here when they want, you know what I mean? Leave when they want, pay dues if they want, if they don't. It's alright, don't worry, Nation of Islam doesn't play that. You pay your dues, get the hell out. Oh, you don't want to wear a bow tie? Get the hell out. Oh, you think that, get the hell out. That's how they play. Right? But nobody's not going to call them religious, Christianized, or whatever like that when they're practicing those things, right? So you go to a book called Montauk Book of the Dead. It's in the Library of Congress under control number 200-592-1593. And in Montauk Book of the Dead states, it's by Peter Moon, by the way, a European. Europeans tend to know stuff more than we know stuff for some reason, right? Just as Noble Drew Ali tried to lift the veil of deception from the Moors, so did L. Ron Hubbard try to lift the veil of deception from spiritual beings and their true nature. To remind you, when LRH wrote his work on oppression, he stated that the only place with a vestigial element of freedom was the United States. This can now be attributed directly to the Moors. None of this would be known if it were not for Drew Ali and the dynamic movement he created, which began to flourish and reach critical mass in 1929. The recognition and uncovering of oppression of the Moors is part and parcel of delivering the best promises of what Scientology in its most exalted aspects has to offer. Right? That's why Savior's Day 2014, all of a sudden, Noble Drew Ali appears in the middle of the Savior's Day poster. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali is compared, or Ron Hubbard is compared to Noble Drew Ali in the Montauk Book of the Dead. Right? And Nation of Islam adopted Dianetics so they can secretly get back into more science without telling people it's more science. The Nation of Islam adopted Scientology so they can get back to more science without telling the people that they're getting back on more science. This is the first time ever since Farrakhan been the head. Not talk about Noble Drew Ali, have a picture. And he's smack in the middle of the collage of all the so-called black leaders or whatever.
Not in the corner.
Not in the corner. Right? Now remember, they're still playing this they're still playing the game. Right? Because they still have Fard as Allah. That's why he's up in the corner.
Right.
Right? They're still pushing him as Allah. But don't be fooled with this picture right here in the middle.
Yeah, because I seen a documentary where Farhad, it said Farhad gave Noble Drew Ali nationality information.
Yeah, impossible. It's impossible. Because if that's the case, if Fard gave Noble Drew Ali the power, right? Then Nation of Islam should have been started in 1913. How come they started in 1930? How come there's no history of the NY before 1930? None whatsoever. Not even a mention of them. Not a mention of Fard Muhammad, not a mention of Elijah Muhammad. Oh, but there's mention of David Ford L though. And there's a mention of Elijah Poole Bay though, before 1930. Just like we were talking about with Lomax Bey, right? And his name was Ali Muhammad, and then he went to Egypt, changed his name or whatever, came back here as some other name, right? This is the game that they play. And if you're game for the game, then you're gonna get game. As well, not only that, as well. This is Muhammad Ali Salam, sorry, A Black Man's Journey in America. Interestingly, in later years, as a member of the Nation of Islam, some of the old pioneers of the nation told me two very interesting stories about Noble Drew Ali and Booker T. Washington. Regarding Noble Drew Ali, they said that before Noble Drew Ali chartered his organization, he wrote from Morocco to then President Wilson requesting permission to teach Islam to blacks in America. Accordingly, it was permitted to me. Accordingly, it was presented to me. Wilson granted permission. As for Booker T. Washington, it was told Booker was originally Abu Bakr. So all these guys know that we're Moors. All these guys know about Noble Drew Ali. all these guys know that Noble Drew Ali wrote, they're telling you that Noble Drew Ali wrote from Morocco. How do you get to Morocco?
I want to say, brother, I feel very disappointed at that, that y'all wasn't really able to really go in.
No, we're going in right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going in right now, cause you know the more, you know the more.
That I throw it right up. I'ma throw it up.
Yeah, most definite. But give thanks for you too and your work, more.
All right, thanks for that, my brother.
All right.
Islam.
Peace and love, Islam.
Islam, bro.
All right, family.
Doctor, give me 1 second. This battery running low.
No problem. These occupiers out here, right? They have a protocol, right? So if you're, like, for example, the only reason that he would get over with no hassles or whatever, because he doesn't have nothing on him. There's no hindrances.
What do you mean hindrances?
Like, he doesn't got no felonies or nothing like that.
No, but even that is part of the whole thing.
So they'll
right?
so they'll take whatever he presents from the corporate side.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But
right?
also, this is where when you talk about all this stuff, why not follow these things? Even the very border itself is it's a facade. It's a jurisdictional thing.
Right.
Right. We should be able to walk across. We should be able to walk down there and visit our brothers down there, because we don't have a driver's license or something that ties us to them that they can tax. Because that's what it's all about. Yet again, that's the other part that I was trying to get to. It's all about the energies. It's about our spirit. They've got our spirit enslaved. And to me, that's an even deeper thing than the physical part of it.
Right.
Right? So that's where, hey, free me spiritually, and let's sit down equally, and then let's go from there. Right? You've got me paying to every 4 years to get my driver's license. Right? That's a right. But they've made that a privilege. That kind of stuff is the stuff I'm talking about, right? Where they've got a birth certificate that they're then trading around the world on your dollar. They ain't paying us money. They ain't even giving us paper. I used to figure this out. I'm like, wait a minute. Really? I'm taking this $20 that I went and dug a ditch with to go buy some milk that he's going to do this with. There's no money. It's just a barter system.
Right.
And they're controlling that. And then today, if they decide that this piece of paper means nothing, which we know is coming up.
Which is coming up.
Right? Then ultimately, let's see what happens. But ultimately, they've got to have a new game to that, because still, if there's no money and it's energy that's running everything, they've got to have your energy.
Right.
They've got to have your energy to do stuff. That's where it is, right? Because what you have to realize, and you know this too, right? Drive to some of these neighborhoods. They got some houses, they got some people there that you're the ones doing the work for them.
Right.
That's where it ultimately is. Because you and I can go out there and work a hard day, but there's some people that can't do that. But if they've got you doing that, and then you got to go pay some tax on this, that they then get to then go, that's where my problem is.
Right.
Let's just make the playing field equal, and let's go from there. If I need a license for that, that's fine. But what we do know is that a constitution was written a long time ago that laid that all out.
Right.
And said, hey, you have the right to go and make some money for your family. And if you have a horse, you could go on the horse. If you had a motor carriage or a conveyance, you could go and do that. But no, what we realized is by letting you and me have equal with our European, we would probably get ahead. That's what happened. What they realized is that ultimately anything that they're going to get us to do, we're going to be able to do probably better than them. So what we have to do is we now got to put a leash on you so that we can.
So you don't go too far.
Well, but not only that, but also so that we can skim.
Right, skim off the top. Right.
That's what it is. But we ain't going to take too much to piss you off. You're just going to take enough.
Take enough, just so you get mad.
Enough. You see what I mean? Just enough. That's why it always shifts up and down. And then every time people, and that's what the whole government's about. They're all the same set of thieves, right? But today we're robbing from you. And if we finally go, hey, this is too much, then we put another guy in who says, let's give back. Right? Let's give him back a little bit, right? So then we give him back. So then, okay, everything's cool. But then once that happens and people are getting ahead, no. So then, then we bring the next guy in. That's why you have these three different parties.
Right.
They're all sitting down at the same blinking table.
And instead of them putting the leash on us, better yet let them put a leash on themselves.
On each other. Exactly.
Well, but you see what's happened is this is where it's evolved to. Back in the beginning, they had to have all of their brothers there to work, but now what they've realized is they have to enslave their own brothers too, and that comes from an educational or a knowledge part, right? If you're European and you don't know, then you're still a slave. Right? That's where it's gotten to, right? But what they've done is they've pretty much, that's where they're saying the schools are different. Those Europeans go to their schools and they learn stuff that we'll never find out about. They learn the true knowledge. We never find that stuff out about, right? But some of them do, and those are the ones that are running the governments. They're the ones who know, and it's our stuff.
Right. The thing is this, bro. Everything that you just said, it comes down to one thing. And this comes also from Prophet Noble Ali. It's up to you to enforce the laws. Because the laws come from you. It's up to us, man. It's too many of us that's passive. It's too many of us that's willing to acquiesce and don't want to stand up. I got a brother right now who said, I want to nationalize, but I don't want to fight. That's what he told me. But I don't want to fight.
What do we, not to cut you off, so that means he wants to work in the system.
No,
with just the paperwork alone.
No, he wants the benefits of it, but he doesn't. He wants the benefits of it, but he's right. And I realize this too, because there's certain times when I'm out there and you're realizing the battle's tough. You got to be up for the battle,
I mean, you're
right?
Pick your battles too. You know, you're not just going to battle just because you're going to battle.
Exactly. No, but we also have to realize that this is a war, right? This is like an ultimate war that's going on, right? And some soldiers just aren't good soldiers, right? Some of us don't want to fight, right? So that's where I sense some of this is at, right? Guys like you and me and you, we want to go out there and dig those trenches. Other guys will say, hey, you know what? I don't mind if you take 30% of my energy. Right. Just as long as I get left alone. Right? Some of us are happy with that. And that's how it is. Right? Yeah, that's why I said it's all fractured though. Some of us will go, oh, you'll pay me to take some of my brothers away? Sure, I'll go. You know what I mean? That's where you have the agents. Right?
Yeah, it all boils down to what Kudjo was saying though. The foundation was laid out for you. Right. I'm not talking to you specifically.
No,
when I say you, I mean us as a whole. It was laid out for you by Prophet Noble Ali. So when people don't want to study what he left, they don't get these lessons. It's right there. It's laid out for us. It's laid out for us.
But also, but what was another thing too that I remember from this stuff? The Prophet came to the people that needed him the most. Right. So we needed this message the most.
Right. Still do.
And we still do. No, ultimately we still do. Right. So we needed this message. We need to wake up. And part of what's going on wrong now is because we were the founders of stuff, they have run their course and now things are falling apart. But until the actual heirs to the house can come back and clean up the house, things are going to continue to fall apart.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the people who have been in power are too used to it now, and they ain't willing, and those are a small sect of people, and they ain't willing to give up. Because things have been comfy for them for a long period of time. Right? So it would now be, now that person who's sitting down in his plush chair has to get up and dig a ditch. He doesn't want it. Because he's gotten us to be doing it for a long time.
Right, but it's getting to that place where you have no choice. This is why this is why, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I did the debate. I didn't do the debate because look how much people are in here. I didn't do the debate to convince nobody about more science and all that. Right? Who knows it knows it.
Everybody.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody knows. This is what the point is. Even Ali Muhammad knows about the Moorish movement and Noble Drew Ali and how powerful what he brought is. His own words in his own books is letting people know that everybody knows. He's one of the biggest Moor bashers out there. But he knows about Noble Drew Ali and all that. He might talk crap, but he knows what's up.
He's
you know what I mean?
Agents.
Right? I mean, call it what you will. Right? You look at all these people. Look at King Noble. King Noble was a member of the Moorish Science Temple. He was a Grand Sheikh of a temple. And he chose to jump ship. So that means he knows. I don't care if he's coming now and saying black, whatever. Point is, your foundation is Moorish Science Temple. Who you fooling? You're not fooling me. They might think they're fooling me, but you know, I got nationality cards that say that you're incorporated in Cherokee. So obviously you're running a fraud. And people are, for whatever reason, people are blind to the fraud. Why are they blind to the fraud? Because everybody has this misunderstanding and misconception about what Noble Drew Ali brought. Because everybody's comparing this, everybody's using their black, Negro colored mindset when they look at Moors. There's a Moors picture, right? More of the Alhambra picture. And there was a black guy. That's not a black guy. That's a Moor of the Alhambra. Why you call him a black guy? Oh yeah, well you know that's the Oh yeah, ancient black guys. Some guys with fezzes, you know what I mean? Posing or whatever. Oh yeah, ancient black guys. Those aren't ancient black guys.
Yeah,
those are Moors.
That's the Reconstructionist.
But the real Reconstructionists are these people's heads.
Yeah.
The Reconstructionist isn't the European.
Yeah.
They got Washington, what do you call it? George Washington Masonic Museum with fezzes that say Islam on it and all that. So the European's not the issue.
It's more fezzes now fit in this room.
You know what I mean? Like fit in this room.
Real talk.
Imagine that.
They won't fit in this room.
Imagine that. They have so many fezzes in Washington, right? That if we took all the fezzes out the showcases and bring them in this room, there's going to be more fezzes out the door.
No, but I told you this before too about this. Which my belief is that ultimately things have to stand on truth. So the European is standing on the truth, but he's telling us a lie, getting us to stand on the lie. Right? That to me is where this has all been at. Right? For their spells and all that stuff to work, it has to work on truth.
Exactly.
That foundation has to be on truth. But we can't have you knowing the truth. We've got to have all of that stuff subverted and sublimated so that you're doing something else, but you're adhering back to the true power system.
Right.
Right? So that's where the issue is, right? They're gonna follow that, but tell you to follow something else.
Exactly.
And then we're gonna get certain guys in your community to do that.
To do that.
We're then gonna put drugs in the community.
Right.
We're then gonna falsely educate you. We're then gonna do everything else but give you the truth.
The truth. But, you know, it's just like, comes back again. If you study what Noble Drew Ali said, everything's right there, right? Man knows not by being told.
That's right.
Which means you still gotta go study. Even if somebody tells you something, hey, you know, I heard that you guys are Moors, not black people. Oh yeah, really? Oh yeah. So you're supposed to go check that out. Right? Again, no different than Ali Muhammad. What did he do? He went and he checked it out. And when he was confident enough, Moors know this, right? Moors know this that when you get on this information and you realize something and something goes off in your head, first thing you're gonna do is write a book about what you just came to. Your eureka moment has to be documented on paper, right? That's just pattern. And then when you check everybody,
that's the magic.
That's what it is. Yeah. Right? So page 153 of the same book. Noble Drew Ali's mother also plays an important man who won lands in Louisiana that belonged to ancestors of the court case, United States versus the heirs of Henry Turner, Tunica, case 32, United States Appellate Court 1850, was an appeal to an earlier case won by the heirs of Henry Tunica called the heirs of Henry Tunica Turner versus the United States case 191. So you think the United States doesn't recognize the Moors when they've been battling with the Moors for land in Louisiana? Of course they recognize the Moors. They know exactly who the Moors are as soon as you say something about Moors and Moorish nationality or whatever. It's not a secret, right? If you're not careful, your own brothers will try to put you in slavery. Now there's a brother by the name of Brother Chin, and it's crazy. It's crazy right now, right? How things just work, right? Brother Chin looks like Brother Dien in the back, right? This is what Brother Chin says. When you look at me, what do you see? Then everybody in the audience says, a brother. My last name is Chin. My family comes from southern China almost 200 years ago. I went up to the mountains of China. They wanted to know, why do I have the last name Chin? I said, because my ancestors came from this land. I used to see pictures of Chinese and they were dark as me, and I thought that they were dirty from working.
That's a good one.
Right? Another thing is, we who are Moors traveled from pole to pole. We built everything. This is a Mr. Chin talking that looks like us. Right? But the best place to hide your history is right in front of your face. So when you walk out these doors, start looking at everything you have been taught in the opposite direction. Brother Chin. So that means Chinese people know what's up. blinded or confused about who the Moors are. Right? Moorish Guide newspaper reported that the first annual convention, or at the first annual convention of the Moorish Science Temple, Honorable Oscar the Priest of Chicago was presented. He said, "I feel encouraged, knowing that with your prayers I will succeed," which he did, right? Because he did become congressman of Chicago, right?
Kind of favored his brother right
Yeah.
here.
Which is why I'm saying it's real weird, you know, that Mr. Chin's back there and he's in the slide, and then Oscar the Priest is in the slide, and then he's doing the camera work.
See.
Right? Oscar the Priest is known as the first black congressman, and he ain't dark from none of these people. He's lighter than all these people, but they recognize him as the first black congressman. But then black doesn't mean pale. So they're right. They don't know that they're right, but they're right. Right? Oscar the Priest was the first Moorish American elected to Congress in the 20th century. Not the first black guy, not the first African or whatever, the first Moorish American. Why? Because he was a member of the temple. That's why he's sitting right there next to Noble Drew Ali right there. Why is he sitting next to Noble Drew Ali with all these Moors around here if he's not down with that? And he was a black congressman. And he won. And he won because Moors went and voted for him. Just go check the record. They tell you this stuff. Go research Oscar the Priest. They'll tell you his history. Right? But if we don't study, we won't know. Right? You brought Jose Pimenta Bay here. Right? Jose Pimenta Bay, author of Othello's Children in the New World. Everybody's seen his YouTube video when he's showing all the J.A. Rogers crests and all that type of stuff. Oh yeah, this guy's information, yeah. When Moors brought him here, he had fez on or whatever, ain't nobody coming to know nothing. But y'all recognize him. So y'all recognize him when he does black stuff, right?
Right.
But then when it's national stuff, y'all ask half these people, you got Jose Pimenta's book? I bet they don't got it. And out here, if they do have it, it's signed because they were at the lecture when we brought him here, and he brought the books here and he was doing the book signing. Right? So honors to Jose Pimenta Bay, page 204 in his book. To search under the headings of Negro, Black, Colored would have left the inquirer more susceptible to the trapdoors set by Eurocentrists and white supremacists. After all those terms had been initiated, developed and outlined by Westerners whose usual intent was to demean the African. Ali's Moorish Science Temple offered the people a specific national name and country, like we were talking about. Significantly, Morocco's own political authorities have recognized the validity of the Moorish Americans' claims to Moorish birthrights. The unchallenged declarations of Moorish and Moroccan lineage and the unchallenged use of the Moroccan flag by the organization certainly suggests that the Moroccan government has had no problems with the Moorish Science Temple's platforms. So the people who supposedly, own the Moroccan flag and that's their jurisdiction, right? Jose Pimenta Bay is saying that those people don't got no problems with the Moors at all, right? And then to prove that, right, we go to one of the Moors, right, pictured, right, Sheikh Turner L, shaking hands with Hajj Ahmed, Executive Secretary General, Independence Party of Morocco, for His Majesty Mohammed V, right, and head of Morocco Royal Delegation at the United Nations. So they know. We don't have to prove anything to them. We don't have to prove any legitimacy of anything. They already know that it's legit. Or they wouldn't be taking pictures with Moorish Americans and all that. Right? Moorish leader attends inauguration of the governor. Once again. Right? Once again, a so-called U.S. or USA or whatever official recognizing that there is this individual, there are these people, respect them, honor them, you know, Islam, thanks for having me, you know, thanks for coming, and all that. It's not secret. Everyone knows. Why aren't people getting down with this? Because they're following people who are against this. They're following people who really and truly want them to be their slaves. Because everybody wants to be a master. But they don't want to be a master of self. They want to be a master of somebody else. Own them. Right? Islam to the Moors in Canaanland. Islam. Because the Moors in Canaanland, they're going around, right, and showing their nationality card and getting taxes off at places. Yeah, some works, some doesn't work, right? But ones that don't work, we do what we have to do, and then we get answers. Just like you got the answer. You showed your nationality card, they tried to punk you, you sent them something, they sent you a letter letting you know that we don't recognize you because your stuff didn't come from the Indian Affairs people. Which lets you know that they know that that jurisdiction of indigenous, tax exempt, whatever, is corporate and has nothing to do with you. Even though they still have a right to recognize it, right? And they should be recognizing it. But being that we're Negro, black, colored, you know, us showing a nationality card that we're Moors, we're indigenous, you know, we're crazy people to them. Because they're taught that, you know, red man and paler people are the real indigenous people. And that's what they're going on. Right?
Rid them up again, that's all.
Rid them up again. That's all we do. Right? Almost done. You're going to go on YouTube, you're going to watch a video called Ali Muhammad of ISIS cannot use the fraud claim or ISIS sovereign citizen teachings. That's actually a video that Ali Muhammad's in. That they couldn't even get the car out the pound using their stuff. But then the Moors in Canaanland, right, who exercise right to travel, right? You got the letter? You got it there? Yeah, I got it. If you got the letter, yeah, put that on the record. Yeah, right? So people could see how legit Moorish Science Temple is, right? So this brother can't get the car out the impound. It's on YouTube. Documented fact. The stuff was on TV and all that. Right? Now,
Chief of Police.
We got this letter right here from Toronto Police Services. William Blair, Chief of Police. Right? Now, this letter came from a Moor who got his mode of transport, conveyance, car, motor vehicle, whatever you want to call it, kidnapped. Took him. Right? And on the day 06/27/2013, they impounded his stuff, property, right? On the day. Then on the day, he got a letter from the Chief of Police. This is on the day. The same day that they kidnapped his vehicle, right? The Chief of Police sent him a letter, right? Dear Sir, Madam, please be advised that the following vehicle registered to you was impounded on the date indicated, VIN number, impounded on, whatever, towing company, phone number of the towing company. It is suggested that you claim your vehicle as soon as possible, as a storage fee is charged each day. If your vehicle is not claimed, it shall be sold as prescribed by provincial statute. If you have already claimed your vehicle, disregard this letter. Should you require further information, please contact storage facility indicated above. If you recently reported this vehicle stolen to the impound, this action is required by you to prevent further action by the original investigating police services. Yours truly, Pound Officer for Unit Commander, Traffic Services, scribble, scribble, under. Now, Find me a black guy whose car got impounded, right? That can show you a letter from the police chief on the same day that their car got impounded, that the police chief is telling them, come get your stuff, or we're going to charge you fees to keep it here. Right? All you're going to hear from them is, you need to come pay.
That's right.
Whatever it is a day, 50 a day, 100 a day, or whatever absurd amount that they charge, right? They're not coming to the brother about that. They'll send him a nice letter, call him sir and all that stuff, and tell him, you know, come pick up your property. Or a storage fee is going to be charged, and if you don't come pick it up, we're just going to sell it. There's no nothing about him getting fines and all that stuff. Right? They're not legit. You don't think they know what's up? You think we have to prove to them that we're Moors? Right? Old news, but you know, all the different proclamations, right, from all the different mayors between 2011 and 2012 that came out with proclamations talking about recognizing Noble Drew Ali Day, recognizing Moor Science Temple of America, make sure all the people out here, you know, please support the Moors in their endeavors during this time of their celebrating their prophet and their movement. Right? Old news, it's out there already. Right? If Yassin Bey knows the legitimacy of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to put the first Moorish Convention as his song list picture, right, at the back of his album, not only that, he's going to go have a Circle 7 ring, right? Not only that, he's going to be nominated in 2010 for a Grammy for Best Rap Album for this same album with Noble Drew Ali on the back of it and the Moors. Not only that, he's going to come out in interviews and tell people Mos Def is a written name, it's a tag. We are living in a society where everything is reduced to brands, and I wanted to reaffirm some humanness, so call me Yassin Bey. Don't call me Mos Def no more. And people play the game, oh yeah, AKA, and you know, they're going to call him all these names or whatever that he's not. When he's sitting there with a damn Circle 7 ring on, right? Noble Drew Ali and the Moors at the back of his album cover that he got nominated in 2010 for a Grammy for, and you're going to tell me that they don't recognize the Moors? Really? People are really that out of it, right? That he's gonna have a Circle 7 ring. It's on YouTube. Ben had a Circle 7 ring. Ecstatic album, Mos Def, and his song list is the convention picture. Is that what? Yeah, we're connected. All right. We already talked about this one, CNN War Report. Everybody knows what's going on, right? Everybody knows Capone and Noriega, right? Everybody knows Nori. If you know hip hop, you know Nori. If you know hip hop, you know CNN War Report, right? Executive producer of the War Report, Martin Moore. How come Nori is in the song list like this? What do you think that means? Why is he doing this for? He's just bored and he's just posing like this for a picture? Find me a rapper that does this in their pose. What's he telling you? More science.
It's funny, they want to use the science, but they don't want to give credit to it.
Right, well, you know, he gave some credit. You know, executive producer Martin Moore in the song list, he said Islam and all that type of stuff.
But it's a veiled.
But it's a veiled kind of demonstration.
What they realize is because if they give too much, then they don't get anything, right?
Exactly. Right? Same thing we're talking about. Right? They don't want to give up that paper. Islam what it means. They don't want to give up that paper. Right? Okay? They don't want to give up that paper. Right? So we have the convention picture. Right? Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Science Temple of America, 1928. So we have a date. We have a reference date. Right? And then there's all these Moors. You know what I'm saying? You know, going up the steps and all that stuff. You know, classic picture of Moors. Right? The spirit of Brother Taj Tariq Bey is the spirit of our ancestors. Right? There's a picture right here on the convention. This guy right here. There's his blown up picture right there. Tell me that doesn't look like Taj.
I was just getting ready to say that. Look just like him.
All right. This is from 1928 though. This is from 1928. And there's a man today walking around that reps Noble Drew Ali harder than anybody.
Taj Tariq Bey.
Right? So if the spirit of Taj is the spirit of our forefathers, right? If he knows the legitimacy of the Moorish Science Temple of America to come back again and be down with the same stuff that he was down with in 1928, you don't think that this is legit? You don't think that there's some legitimacy in this? If an ancestor is going to come back in physical form, repping the same thing that he was repping in 1928. Right?
You know, they kind of say I resemble the prophet.
Yeah. You got the prophet's nose. You do. It's not even a joke.
Not you.
You got the nose. You got the Drew Ali nose.
But yeah, all right.
You got the Drew Ali nose, bro. Right? The beak. Right? International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns, ISIS. I'm just saying. Right? I'm just saying. Right? And then when you go to the ISIS package that only people who are members get, you know, you got the fez on there. That's not no Moorish fez though. Because it says Muslim on it. That's some Shriner stuff. How's he giving out paperwork and stuff like that? And then he has, you know, this is called ISIS, but then he's using a sigil of Aset. Because Aset is the one that has the wings spread and all that stuff, and Ma'at and all that. Ain't no Greek name, Asiatics, right? Is this pose right here. But then again, you know, he's got the Bunker Hill flag in black and white. You got the Moroccan flag in black and white. And then you got everything else in color. And he freely talk about this stuff, but then when it comes to this stuff, you know, it's always some charade or vague perspective, or, you know, or throw it under the bus perspective.
You got the science on it.
Oh, you definitely got the science. Trust me. Told you guys that. Ali Ma's not no idiot. Right? He knows what's up. Right? Sheka Mexam is a special heritage site of the history of the ancient indigenous Moors, and is where the Moors will rise again. The word Sheka Mexam is the origin of the general use of a Mexam brought back into public by Noble Drew Ali. So he knows what's up. Not secret. He knows what's up. Right? So this is not about the legitimacy of the Moorish Science Temple. This is the legitimacy of anybody who says they're not Moorish Science Temple. This is not, we don't have to prove that the Moors are legit. Showed y'all in the first slide. Long convention picture. And then all the pictures of Moors from 1929 or 1913 to 2014. So there's more still here. So it is not no secret. Right? And again, this is ISIS Protocol Manual, page 20. So you know where it came from or whatever. And I'm not, you know, what do they call the thing? Making up pictures and stuff like that, typing up stuff that, you know, try frame somebody for being a fraud, plagiarism or whatever, right? You're gonna go on YouTube, you're gonna watch Dr. Ali Muhammad Bey, Ben Banneker, not Ben Franklin. You didn't take that down, that says Bey on it. And then Taj Tariq Bey and Dr. Ali Muhammad in Detroit, Let's Do It Again, part 1, sister who introduces him is Ali Muhammad Bey. And he ain't never took that down. Now if you're so against Noble Drew Ali and so against the Moorish Science Temple and so against what he teaches or whatever like that, you should change your name from Ali, and you should get people to take down all these stuff out there that says Bay on it. But you can't do that because you need Noble Drew Ali in order to do that work. Right? That same long convention picture that suddenly disappeared. Nobody knows where it is until Brother Taj brings it back into the open. And then when you go check that picture, you realize that there's a guy back here, you know, it's kind of fuzzy and, you know, looking or whatever, but not too many people look like Elijah Muhammad. He has a very distinctive look. He has a very distinctive head shape. So this is Elijah Muhammad in the convention picture, which is the panoramic that you can't find no more. If you go on YouTube, look at any lectures that we did with Jabbar Gaines Ill, he's always sitting in front of this long picture on the wall. It's a convention picture. Right? That was brought back into the public because they're trying to get you to not make this connection. Right? And keep in mind, another individual you could go to Dr. Alim El Bey's website, which is where this comes from. So it's information that's out there, right? And then honors to Alim because he's the first one that kicked somebody's ass in a debate trying to talk crap about Moors. And it hasn't stopped since that. That was Moors to start it, and it's going to take Moors to end this. So this is a challenge out there to all the Moors out there, right? This is a challenge to all the Moors. You got a Fez, you rep Noble Drew Ali or whatever, you shouldn't be letting these fakers talk crap about your prophet and your movement. Don't worry about Taj and Raz and those people. Well, why don't they debate? Don't worry. Those people, they get a pass. Because they done paid their dues. All you people who never paid your dues yet, pay some dues by debating some of these clowns out here. Trying to make people think that Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement doesn't have no credibility. Right?
And pay your dues by paying dues and stop talking shit.
Right? Because we need finance, we need it badly.
That email's going on.
We need it badly. Right? Right? So we already beat up on Ali Muhammad, so we don't have to beat him up no more. Right? Whoever wants to get down with him, go get down, go get raped. Right? St. Louis, Missouri recognizes the legitimacy of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They got Noble Drew Ali placed in a sign in St. Louis.
Wow.
I guess he's not legit. I guess they just, you know, they just made a sign of this individual for no reason. Just because they just felt like it. Right? Okay? Coming down to the end. Professor Barbara Blair is a historian and documentary editor at Duke University and one of the editors of the Marcus Garvey papers. European. A European edited the Marcus Garvey papers. Right? How come? Because blacks don't read. Negroes don't read either. So nobody was qualified to edit the Marcus Garvey papers, but this European by the name of Barbara Blair. What she find out when she was going through all this studying about Moors and you know, blacks in America and all this, right? Noble Drew Ali very much saw Marcus Garvey as an inspiration for his own efforts. He spoke of Garvey as a voice in the wilderness on the issue of racial pride, an orator and prophet who had prepared black people to be receptive to Ali's own message. Like Garvey, Ali preached the importance of developing unity among all peoples of the African diaspora. Marcus Garvey was specifically lauded as John the Baptist, who prepared the way for the coming of Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple meetings. Unlike the Garvey movement, which was predominantly Christian, and which adopted many of the rituals of Christian worship in its meetings, Noble Drew Ali stressed his belief that all blacks, Asiatics, Turks, Arabs, Latin Americans, etc., what we today would describe as people of color, were in origin Moorish or Muslim. Barbara Blair, European. Right? Muhammad al-Salam black man's journey, once again. Right? Yet, of all such events, the most conspicuous one, in my mind, is the period following Daddy's last discussion on Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. I remember that during dessert that night, he told us that if it had not been for these two men, especially Marcus Garvey, the Harlem Renaissance and the general awakening of black America around the turn of the 20th century would not have happened. Now you recognize why Noble Drew Ali and Marcus Garvey are related, and everybody knows, and the only people who don't know are the people who are the heads of these organizations, etc., trying to convince you that there's a separation when there's no separation, right? When these were brothers working together, even though one called herself Negro, one said Moor, right? They were working together. It's clear they were working together.
So why can't we do the same?
Because we got people like Seti, Ali Muhammad, Hebrew Israelites, whoever, trying to up their whatever that they got, but they can't even cross the border. How are you going to talk about your sovereign and all this stuff and you can't even cross the border? Or stuff's taking long. Or, you know, what are you talking about? Right? Even Sarnetter said it. You know, you're disappointed, you know what I mean? Because if Paulette could get over here,
I got over there. He got over there.
Right? Right? Everybody got over here. You know? But whatever. You know, it is what it is. Right? February 1925, Marcus Garvey was taken directly into custody and arraigned the next day. He was transferred from the Tombs prison in New York to Atlanta Federal Penitentiary on the 7th or 8th of February and began serving his term. The U.S. Supreme Court denied his writ of certiorari, right? So C-E-R-T-I-O-R-A-R-I. So the Garveyites knew what was up if they're going to file that, right? On the 23rd, 1925, basically declining to hear further appeal of the case, right? And that's the Marcus Garvey and UNI papers, edited by Robert Hill and Barbara Blair. Okay? Now, everybody wants to talk about the not meeting, they're not friends, they didn't know each other, whatever. Chicago Defender newspaper, right? Founded by Robert S. Abbott, who's a brother. We talked about this Drew Ali Day, right? He put in the article. Forget about the postcard that people show and people say, oh, postcard's fake. All right, well, we got a newsprint saying that Noble Drew Ali visited Marcus Garvey. But Garveyites still ain't going to get down with this. When their brother Abbott, put it in the paper. Barbara Blair came out, dropped it, but they don't want to hear that. They hear everything else. But as soon as you start talking about connection to Noble Drew Ali, the one's not talking after that. Right? Talked about this, Carlos Cooks. Garveyite. Got a book on him and everything like that. And what did he do? Make sure that the African Legion wore fezzes. Made sure that the African Legion wore fezzes. And the African Legion is pretty much the Mufti force of the UNIA. Right? You think they don't know? Right?
No, they hasn't.
Once again, Grand Sheikh Lord Nature El Bey, right? In front of the Moroccan flag and the Amity and Commerce banner. Then you got Hillary Clinton and Foreign Minister El Atmani during the first U.S.-Morocco strategic dialogue. Then they got the flags in the same place because everybody knows that the Moor Science Temple is a representative government. Especially the people who don't ever use the Great Seal. They always use the Eagle. And then they always got the Amity and Commerce flag, banner, right? Which is actually a Moorish flag with white stripes on it and a blue canton with 52 or whatever Moroccan stars to represent the states. And you tell me it's not legit? People doing Pledge of Allegiance to this flag right here? Stripes and stars? When the makeup of the flag, it has the Moroccan star on it. 50 of them. Think they just use that? All these stars that they got in the world, they had to use 5-point star? All these stars. They can use 6-point star, 7-point star, 8-point star, 3-point star, 4-point star, but they chose to use 5-point star on their flag, banner. Because if anybody's exercising in the Americas, it has to be under the jurisdiction of the Moors or something that the Moors set up. Has to be, right? You already know. It shouldn't be nothing new, but we're just putting it out there, right? NOI and FOI see the legitimacy of the MSTA. Why don't you? Like we challenged all you people out there. If you say that you respect Elijah Muhammad, you respect Farrakhan, you respect whatever, why you go ask them where the fezzes are at? Why you go ask them how come they're nationalizing people and calling them X? How come they're not nationalizing people and calling them a free national name like they did to Muhammad Ali? How come Muhammad Ali wasn't an X?
How come he didn't get drafted?
Yeah, because he wasn't an X. No jurisdiction over Moorish nationals. Right? How come? How come Malcolm went to Hajj and came back with L in his name? All the names over there you can go get. You go talk to Muslims that took the Hajj, and they'll tell you all the hundreds of different names, the 99 different names that they can get. And of all the names that are out there, all the names, he came back with L in his name? You think he's not trying to tell you people something? And when he came back, he started talking about human rights. Oh no, it's not about black and white and all that. Right? And taking the position of making sure that the people know. Making sure that the people know. Because he told them. www.greatblacksinwax.org, which is a wax museum, Baltimore or somewhere. So there's a wax museum in Baltimore, and they have Noble Drew Ali with the fez on and all that. They didn't put him in no turban in the wax museum. They got a fez on him. And they have him in the section with Elijah Muhammad and the rest of the crew that were down. You think they don't, it's not legit? Would they have this man in a wax museum in Baltimore? Right? We will that people take Noble Drew Ali more serious than they did take him. Right? According to Martin Bernal, Masons saw their religion as Egyptian, their signs as hieroglyphics, their lodges as Egyptian temples, and themselves as an Egyptian priesthood. If they're so Egyptian, why they got Muslim on all their stuff? If they're so Egyptian, why they got Islam, El Bay, Morocco, Kaaba, Sheba? Because Egyptians and Moors are the same people. And we're the only people, not us, them, that separate this culture into all these different factions, when it's one worldwide culture. It's one culture worldwide that everybody is familiar with and that everybody is attached to. And once you take the position to deny Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement, what you prove is that the Moorish Science Temple of America is legit and you're not. When you take the position of denying Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement, what you're actually doing is acknowledging that the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali, and what he teaches is legit, and everything that you got is not legit. So with that, close out Islam. Give thanks for your time.
Hey, good lecture, bro.
And if anybody got any questions or anything like that,
thanks for having me, brother Kudjo. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for making the trip. Thank you for making the trip.